Hey, my name is Kathy Roberts. I am the Tidy Tutor, and this is the series Bringing Home Baby. Now, for this episode in Bringing Home Baby, we're going to talk about giving the baby a bath. Now, when you first bring home a little infant, it is a little bit scary. It was for me anyway. About 30 some odd years ago, when I had my first baby and I gave her a bath, it was a terrifying experience. She cried and she cried, and I got so nervous. I took her out of the little sink that I gave her a bath in. I wrapped her up in a towel. I sat on the bed. I wrapped myself in a blanket with her. I nursed her, and I just sat there crying. The next time I went to my mother-in-law's, I asked her to show me how to give the baby a bath, and she did, and it was beautiful. And I really recommend that everybody give a baby a bath this way. It's wonderful. Well, first we're going to talk about what to give the baby a bath in. They sell baby bathtubs, and I say don't get one. They're not necessary. There's something that you're going to have to store somewhere, and even if you have plenty of room, then it's still something that you're going to have to think about down the road when you don't need it anymore. What am I going to do with this? You either have to store it away someplace or give it to somebody. Just give yourself one less thing to do, and don't get a baby bath. Give the baby a bath in the kitchen sink. It's convenient, it's easy, and it's the perfect size. Now, this is what we use. It's a little like spongy bath thing. It costs about $5. And what we do with it is we put it on the bottom of the sink. And it helps you to feel, way more secure. It helps the baby to feel really safe and squishy. And it also helps because there's a drain on the bottom of the sink. And so if you don't have one of these, then what I recommend is get a little washcloth and stick a washcloth in where the drain is. And this way you're just pretty safe that, the baby won't get poked with anything. Okay, you may notice that in the video, you see that we have that spongy thing that I talk about, and I say to put it in the sink. You might notice that it's on the counter and we lay the baby on it. Now, the reason for that is because I did this video, the narrative part of it, after we actually gave the baby a bath more than a couple times, and we realized that that little spongy thing is much better in the sink. So when the baby is about 5.5, 6 months old, and they could sit up pretty much on their own with just a little bit of help from you, that's when you don't need that spongy thing in the sink. But before that, it really makes it nice to have that little spongy thing in the sink when you're giving the baby a bath. Okay? Now, something that you'll want to do is get yourself a basket or a container, some sort of container. It can be plastic, it could be a basket if you have to keep it out where you'll have to look at it all the time. You might want something that looks pretty, but maybe you'll have a drawer that you could keep it in that's close to the kitchen or even in the kitchen, that you keep all the things that you need to bring to the sink to give the baby a bath with you all in one spot. Do some research and check out what is in the ingredients of the things that you're going to use to put on the baby, like lotion, shampoo, baby soap. Some ingredients are caustic, so you really want to check and make sure that everything that you're putting on the baby is good for the baby. Now, we use something that we found in the health food store. I looked into it. It's healthy, it's good, won't harm the baby at all, and it's baby shampoo. We use the shampoo for her head and her body, the same thing. Now, it was a little pricey compared to what they had in the grocery store, but let me tell you, the baby's almost 6 months old now. We got it when she was 1 week old, and we're still using it. You'll need a washcloth. You'll need a diaper. You'll need the soap. You will need lotion if you use lotion. You don't have to. You'll need maybe a baby brush. You don't have to have a baby brush, but you might want one. You'll need baby wipes, and the reason for baby wipes is because sometimes they might have went poopy right before you're going to get them in the tub, and you want to make sure that they're cleaned off before you put them in the water that they're going to get washed in. And of course, you'll need a towel. Now, they have baby towels that have little hoods on them so that you put, it's like a little pocket on the top, a triangle pocket. You don't have to have those. You can use your regular towels. Don't feel like, oh, the baby doesn't have a baby towel. It doesn't matter. You want to make sure that you are always mindful of this. You don't want to hit the baby's head on the cabinet. Now, when you put water in, you want to make sure that you test it with this part. Here, I'll put this off. You want to make sure that you test it with this part of your arm, because this part of your arm it kind of feels more sensitive than your hand. Your hand is almost like asbestos, you know what I mean? You're not going to feel the heat, you know, you're not going to be able to judge. So we're going to put water in the sink, maybe about this much, and you know, like what, like a hand's worth, and we'll put her in there. So you fill that up and you make sure that you move the faucet to the side so that you don't hit the baby on it when you put her in the sink or when you take him out of it. Now before you put the baby in the sink, you want to undress her and whatnot, so you lay her down next to the sink on a towel. Before you put her in the tub, you want to wash off her face because the water has nothing in it right now. So you take the washcloth, you put it in the sink, and you wash off her face. You take your 2 fingers and you stick it in and you do this, right? And then you wash the baby's face. And you could sing to her if you want to, but you don't have to. Wash the baby's face, you wash the baby's face. And there you go, all done. You go right over their eyes, okay? Don't be, they are gentle and delicate and everything, but it's okay, you know? Now, always be sure you get behind their ears because they spit up, right? They spit up with their heads, you know, on the side, and then it drips down here and it kind of puddles in this section here. And if you don't do it, like 2 or 3 weeks will go by and you'll be like, oh my God, look at all this stuff back there. I didn't know. Now, of course, we want to be gentle, but you don't have to be crazy gentle. They're much sturdier than you think. So you take the baby after that and you lay her down so that her head is over the sink. And you take a washcloth and you wet her hair with it. Then you take some soap. All of the shampoos that they have are one hand. You just push down on it, it opens it, squeeze it out onto the washcloth, wash her head with it, and then you just dump it again, and then rinse the baby's head. You can dump some water on it. It isn't necessary. You could just dunk the washcloth and then rub the head until it is all nice and rinsed. Now after that, you'll want to dry the baby's head off because you don't want her to get cold. We lose a lot of heat from the top of our head, so you want to make sure that she stays warm. Now, of course, if it's like 100 degrees where you live, or it's the summertime or something and it's very warm, you really don't have to worry about that. But if it is cool out, you want to make sure that you take the baby, you lay her back down, and you dry her hair before you start to take off her clothes to get her into the sink. Okay, so now you undress the baby, you get her in the sink, and how you hold her is you take your hand like this, and your middle finger and your thumb will fit right underneath underneath her armpit and around her arm, and the back of her head rests on your arm. Then you get her in the sink and you just wash her off. That's all. One thing you have to be very careful of is to make sure that you get underneath the neck. There's all kinds of rolls under here, and if you aren't sure to get under there, it can get yucky, and it could actually end up cracking and kind of hurting her a little bit. So you want to make sure that you get that all cleaned off, right? Sometimes I really don't like that, but it has to get cleaned. Okay, when you're done washing her, making sure you're getting all those creases because they have so much little baby fat on them, then you lay her back down on the towel and you dry her off thoroughly. Then you dress the baby. Now I'm going to show you how to dress the baby in this video because their fingers, you know, they don't close their hands or anything, they're open. You take your hand and you put it in the side of the sleeve where her hand will come out. And then you grab her hand so that none of the fingers will, you know, get bent backwards, and you pull her hand out that way. Don't be concerned about having to dress her. They're very sturdy. Just take the shirt, put it over her head, stick your hand in the arm, grab her hand so that her fingers don't get, you know, stuck up when you're pulling it in, and just pull her hand through and she'll be dressed. They might cry a little bit. Sometimes they don't like it going over their head. Don't worry about it. Just do it matter-of-factly. Now, when you're done, make sure that you clean up. It'll be so wonderful if you start right now with good habits, because things can really get away from you. And having a baby is almost like throwing a wrench in your life. It takes a while to adjust and figure things out. So if you can get this one habit down, you'll be so happy. If you hold the baby like this specific way that I have in the video here, you'll see that it's easy to work around and get things done with one hand. This hand is just under her butt, and my middle finger and my thumb is right around her thigh. God bless you. And then this way, what happens is if you move around very matter-of-factly, she'll let you do whatever it is you have to do. If she's like fussy or something like that, if she sees you're busy and you're doing whatever it is you got to do, she'll comply and be quiet. So it's time to, clean up. You got to clean up the stuff, okay? Also, if you work very diligently, the baby kind of just falls into place and somehow realizes mommy's busy and they comply. So just go and do what you have to do, very matter-of-factly, and before you know it, you'll be done and the baby will learn the drill. Mommy cleans up. This is a time that I have to be patient. Babies learn immediately. We have to train them right from the start. Now that little spongy thing that you put in the sink that was wet, we just squeeze it out really good, and we have a front porch, so we put it out on the front porch. It dries there. Just put it somewhere where it won't hurt any furniture. It'll dry off before you know it. Take all your things that go back in your basket or your plastic container, put everything in there, put it back where it belongs, and it's ready for you for the next time that you give the baby a bath. Just in case anybody's wondering, this is very normal, and this is going to happen to your baby too. Because they sleep and they lay on their back of their heads and they lay on the sides and on the sides, they end up getting bald spots there. It's normal, it's natural, they'll grow hair there. Well, that's it for this episode of Bringing Home Baby. My name is Kathy Roberts. I am the Tidy Tutor. I hope I didn't put you to sleep. I can't wait to see you on our next episode. We're putting stuff away, we're putting stuff away, we're putting stuff away right now. We're putting stuff away, we're putting stuff away, we're putting stuff away right now. Who's the big girl? Who's the big girl? Lily, Lily, Lily's a big little girlie. Oh, so sleepy.